In ancient Israel, a time came when the people were living under the shadow of oppression. For 40 years, the Philistines ruled over them with power and cruelty. It was during this dark chapter that God, in His mercy, set a plan in motion. That plan would come in the form of a child, chosen before birth, anointed with divine purpose. In the small town of Zorah, a man named Manoah lived with his wife. They were a righteous couple, but they had no children. One day, as Manoah's wife worked alone, the angel of the Lord appeared to her. He brought news of hope and promise. She would bear a son, but this child would be unlike any other. He would be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb. No razor would ever touch his head. He would drink no wine, and he would begin the deliverance of Israel from the hands of the Philistines. In time, the promise was fulfilled. The woman gave birth to a boy and named him Samson. As he grew, the Spirit of the Lord stirred within him. He grew strong, not just in body, but in purpose. God had destined him to be a judge, a warrior, a symbol of hope. Samson's strength was beyond that of ordinary men. It wasn't the result of training or diet. It came from the Spirit of the Lord resting upon him. With that strength came great responsibility, but also great temptation. Though Samson was chosen by God, he was still a man, capable of deep passion, intense anger, and dangerous decisions. When Samson became a young man, he saw a woman in Timnah, a Philistine. He desired to marry her. His parents were dismayed. "Is there no woman among our people you could choose instead?" they asked. But Samson insisted. What they did not know was that God was using this desire to create an opportunity to confront the Philistines. On his way to meet the woman, Samson was attacked by a young lion, but the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and with his bare hands he tore the beast apart. Later, passing by the carcass, he found a swarm of bees and honey inside. He took some and ate, sharing it with his parents, but never telling them the source. At the wedding feast, Samson challenged the Philistine guest with a riddle. Out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. They could not solve it. For days they pressed his new wife to coax the answer from him. At last she did, and the guests solved the riddle. Enraged by the betrayal, Samson left the celebration, struck down 30 men in Ashkelon to settle his debt, and gave their garments to the winners. When he returned later to see his wife, he discovered she had been given to another man. In fury, he caught 300 foxes, tied their tails in pairs with torches, and set them loose in the Philistines' fields, destroying their crops. The Philistines retaliated by burning his wife and her father. In vengeance, Samson attacked them viciously and then retreated to a cave in the rock of Edom. The Philistines marched against Judah to capture Samson. The men of Judah, fearing war, came to him and said, "Don't you know they rule over us?" Samson agreed to be handed over, on the condition they would not kill him themselves. They bound him with 2 new ropes and brought him to the Philistines. As he stood before them, the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. He broke the ropes as if they were threads and grabbed the jawbone of a donkey lying nearby. With it, he struck down 1,000 Philistines. After the battle, exhausted and thirsty, he cried out to God, and God miraculously provided water from a hollow in the ground. Samson judged Israel for 20 years. He brought moments of peace through acts of war. His name became feared among the Philistines. But despite his victories, he remained vulnerable to temptation. One night, he went to Gaza and stayed with a prostitute. The Philistines planned to ambush him at dawn, but Samson escaped in the middle of the night. In an incredible display of strength, he tore the city gates from their hinges and carried them up to the top of a hill. Then came Delilah. She lived in the valley of Sorek and captured Samson's heart. The Philistine rulers came to her with an offer. Find the secret of his strength, and they would reward her handsomely. Time and again she pleaded with Samson to reveal it. And time and again he misled her. Tie me with 7 fresh bowstrings, he said. She did. But when the Philistines came, he snapped them effortlessly. Use new ropes, he said. Again, she tied him. Again, he broke free. Weave my hair into the loom, he told her. But even that did not bind him. Delilah pressed him day after day until he was worn down. At last, he told her the truth. If my hair is shaved, I will become as weak as any other man. While he slept, Delilah called a man to shave his head. She then cried out, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." He awoke and thought he would escape as before. But the Lord had departed from him. The Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him in chains to Gaza. There he was forced to grind grain in prison. But his hair began to grow. One day the Philistines held a great celebration in their temple, offering sacrifices to their god, Dagon. They called for Samson to be brought out and mocked him. Blind and broken, he asked to be led to the pillars that supported the temple. He prayed silently, "O Lord God, remember me, I pray. Strengthen me just once more. Let me with one blow take vengeance on the Philistines for my eyes." He braced himself against the 2 central pillars. With all his might he pushed. The temple collapsed, killing everyone inside, including Samson. He died with his enemies. But in his death, he struck a greater blow to the Philistines than he had in his life. His final act was not one of shame, but of purpose. An ending redeemed by faith. The story of Samson is a tale of strength and weakness, of divine calling and human failure. He was chosen, empowered, and set apart, but he was also flawed, driven by impulse, bound by desire. Still, even in his brokenness, God used him. His final act became his greatest, and so we remember Samson. Not just for the battles he won or the enemies he felled, but because his life reminds us of something greater, that God's purpose can prevail even through imperfect vessels. Samson's story is also a mirror, a reflection of our own struggles between calling and compromise. Each of us has been given a purpose, a strength unique to our journey. But when we forget the source of that strength, when we trade the eternal for the temporary, we risk losing what matters most. Yet, even when we fall, we are not beyond redemption. Samson's hair grew back. His connection with God was restored, and in the end, he fulfilled his purpose. God had the final word. So if you feel like you've lost your way, remember Samson. Remember that God can still use your life. You are not too far gone. Your story is not over. Begin again, rise again, trust again. If you found this story inspiring, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. There's more to come. More stories of faith, of struggle, of redemption. Thank you for watching, and may